Hello friends, welcome back to another Monday motivational video, or if you are new here, welcome. Today I am tackling an area that has bothered me for quite a while now. It is cluttered and it is outdated, so we will be decluttering it and giving the space a fresh new look with some new paint. If you are watching and looking for some motivation today, go ahead and get up, pick a space that you want to declutter with me, and let's get started together. We don't have the best of light for this area. It's kind of in a dark corner. It's like right outside of my bedroom. It also might be a little noisy because it is right next to the laundry closet. So we're going to redo this area today. Use it mostly just for like homeschool. It's really like, it's like our junk drawer, this whole area. We have actual junk drawers here. One has like tools and screws and batteries, like all odds and ends. And then this is like craft supplies. We used to use this for our homeschool cabinet, but then we kind of started using other areas. However, they're not really working out as best as I want them to. So I'm going to kind of go through all of this stuff and declutter, get rid of whatever we're not using, and really try to organize it and put it back into like a homeschool cabinet. And then also I just wanted to do something fresh with this area. So we're going to, I got some paint to repaint the cabinets and the drawers. So we're gonna repaint down here and up here. And if you're wondering what this is, this is our really elderly cat, Bailey. She sleeps up here. She's in her bed right now, but she is 15. I think she'll be 16 this year. She'll be 16 next month, I believe. So she's getting older, and we have a little cat too, who's under a year old. So she is always wanting to play, the little one, and Bailey is too old and doesn't want to deal with that. So she started sleeping up here, I think to kind of get away from and have a break from the little cat. So we've got her a little bed, and she likes kind of getting away from everything up there. And this is not really a heavily trafficked area, so she gets the peace she needs here. So I will be putting that back so she can have her area to kind of escape and get away. But other than that, we're going to kind of, like I said, go through everything. I'm going to pull everything out of these drawers and cabinets and just get rid of anything we don't need and really organize stuff so we can have a lot better understanding of where everything goes, and also just have it so organized. My mind does best when everything is in its place and organized. So this is something that I have wanted to do for a while, and we're going to get going with that today. I am mostly going to be doing all the organizing because I'm mostly the one that homeschools our kids. So I'm going to be dealing with the decluttering and organizing and putting everything where I want it and where we can easily access it. And then my husband is going to go through and do the painting. We're going to change out like knobs and all that kind of fun stuff. So he's going to deal with that for me, and I'm going to kind of go through the rest. And I believe I'm going to get my younger two boys involved and have them help me as well. So let's get started. This space I have kind of rattled my brain quite a bit about for the last few years of living here. It is a great space to have. I really like having this extra storage for whatever we need, but over the years it has been kind of just a dropping zone for everything. Everything seems to accumulate in these drawers, in these cabinets, and on this counter. So I go back and forth of what I want it to be, and I always go back to a homeschool like closet area, just a spot where we can keep all of our art supplies and our homeschool materials. We have a lot of notebooks and workbooks and textbooks, just all kinds of stuff. And we do have bookcases for them, but I'm wanting more of a permanent spot, and we're just not quite there as far as like a bookshelf type of thing. I'm wanting to do somewhat of a library upstairs, and until then, we are just dealing with this space right here. So it actually is quite a big area. I'll show after I take everything out. I was pretty shocked at the amount of stuff that came from this area. Looking at this spot, I mean, it's a decent storage area, but you wouldn't think that it has as much storage as it actually holds. So it was pretty wild to see everything once I took everything out of these cabinets. But um, yeah, I am needing just a spot. I needed to get rid of a ton of candles. There was just so much stuff in here that we don't even need, we don't use, we never grab for. So I really, really needed to go through this area and do a major decluttering. And we ended up bringing it right back to our homeschool nook, having all the kids' materials, their art supplies. My boys, for the longest time, have had like this big art supplies little case in their room. Actually, it's like a pretty big case, but in their room. And even though that's great because they love doing art and they can kind of get into it as much as they'd like, it I mean, for a 7 and 5-year-old to constantly have art supplies all over their room, if you can imagine, that's basically how it's been. So I'm wanting to get that out of their room and put in a place where I can kind of better have an idea of what's going on and not have so much like glitter and stuff all over their floors in their room, if you know what I mean. I've mentioned before how I'm wanting to start working more on kind of revamping some areas of our home. We bought our house almost 4 years now. I think it's just under 4 years. And we have slowly been working on kind of just bringing our outdated house up to date and making it our own. We are in no way professionals, but we are just kind of doing what works best for us. This area right here has been the same since the day we moved in. Obviously, we have cleaned up and rearranged and done declutters throughout the years of living here, but it has been a while since our last one. I want to say it might have actually been almost a year, possibly a little longer than that, because I believe the last time I went through and did a declutter in these was before my son died, and that has been a year now. So it is definitely due for a cleaning and going through and getting rid of stuff that we don't use, don't need, don't reach for. I mean, there was stuff in there that didn't even work anymore. So we definitely needed to get through it. And I am pretty excited to be starting doing some renovations and getting things going. We're going to slowly be working on our kitchen here soon too. We've done a couple things, but there are major things we're wanting to do also, and those are coming in the future. So we're pretty excited about that. And this is just kind of a small step in the direction of what we're wanting to do. One little thing that we can check off of our list that I have been wanting to do for basically since we moved in. Okay, so we have the cabinets cleared out. We are not going to paint inside either one of these. We still have to move the cat too. But we're not going to paint inside. We're just going to do the doors on the inside and, you know, the outside, which is what they did too. I believe the previous owners redid these. And if you are a longtime follower, you know that they kind of do things differently and leave us surprises for when we go to redo stuff. So like these, I'm not sure really how we're going to do that, if we're going to be able to disconnect these and like redo them or something. Anyway, but this is all like a wood paneling. This light, I believe, actually still works. Let's test it. No? Maybe it doesn't. Oh, there it is. That is, I don't know why it's there, honestly. It doesn't really do much. And we usually have, like you saw, books there. I also have not wiped these down, so they're like still really dusty. But this is like paper that's like deteriorating. So, I'm not sure what we're gonna do for that, honestly. But for now, we're going to leave the inside, and I'm just now seeing that light lights up this like little gap I can't even reach in the back. But my husband, he was looking at these and he was like, these were just assembled on the spot. They're not like cabinets that they hung or anything. They're just ones that they built in this little nook. So anyway, they're down here. They didn't even finish the paneling. And then this is more of that like wallpaper stuff that they just it's probably plywood. And then, you know, their paint job down here. So anyway, we're going to kind of just fix this up and give it some new life, I think. But I think we're going to leave the light, because actually I don't even know how difficult that would be to take out. My husband would know, but we're going to leave it, I think, for now. And I do eventually probably want to put like little lights at the top or something, you know, just that we can like tap to turn on. But I'm thinking we're gonna just put homeschool stuff in there and just have it better organized, and books and stuff like that. So I don't really need a light in there for now, but we're gonna get started with that. He's going to paint, like I said, and then I think I was actually looking, might be a little weird, we'll kind of see as we go, but I found a backsplash. It's just like one of those peel and stick, so it should be very easy. Maybe we will do that together on a different video, but after we get this all complete, I might tie it in with like a neutral backsplash too. We'll kind of see. And then if that's the case, I might put lights down here to kind of illuminate this area a little better, because I don't know why they're up there. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to be enclosed in a cabinet, but that's what we got. So I don't think I want to keep that light. It seems so old. So if we do end up adding a light down here, we'll just do new. But anyway, we're going to get to painting. We're going to clean it, sand it a little bit, and then we will paint it. And we're going to change out the hardware. Again, I'm not sure on the hinges. My husband will have to look at those and kind of reevaluate. But this is, can you believe that all of this came out of just that tiny little area? Milo's inspecting. But I mean, we don't need all this. I can't believe all of this stuff came out of there. It's such a little area. So me and the boys, we're gonna go through it, and my husband's already getting started. So as my husband was over here inspecting everything, I've lived here like 4 years and I didn't realize that we actually have a light here. So I think we just need to put in a light bulb. I don't really know if I want to stick with that kind, but for the time being, that's what we're gonna do. Also did not realize, what is there, just one outlet for, yeah, one outlet. So didn't realize that was there. I am quickly just wiping down the area. I'm honestly not doing a very good job because I know he's about to come over here and sand, but I was trying to wipe down stuff. So when he comes over and he kind of tears these doors off and he is sanding, afterwards he's going to paint, and I'm just trying to get things going for him to be able to start. So he's doing that, and I am going to get started on decluttering. If you saw some of the stuff that I was moving from those cabinets, specifically the very top shelf of the cabinets, that entire top shelf was all candles. I have a problem with just accumulating candles. So, one a bunch of the stuff up there was actually stuff that I had been saving to make my grandmother a candle. I've been meaning to for months. I found this dish at a thrift store, and it was months ago when I found it. My aunt dropped that candle, so it had broke, and I am going to use the wick out of that candle, and then I usually will save the wax and melt it down. However, I didn't do that. I'm trying to declutter, so I did get rid of that wax. I already had some unscented wax that I was using and to make my grandmother's candle. So I'm using that while everything is out. So that way I don't have to go and just put it in another cabinet, store it for however long whenever I get to it. I'm there right now. I'm handling it. It's, in my hands. So I'm just going to do it right now, get it out of the way. And that way I don't have to continue to store these items and continue to put it off. So that is what I'm doing here. I am making finally my grandma's candle, and I'll give it to her the next time I see her. But that's what this is, and it ended up turning out perfect. I was pretty excited. It's been a while since I've made candles, but I don't know, it's kind of one of those fun things to do. I really like making candles, so I was kind of excited when this one turned out really well. I am moving on to all the stuff that was in those cabinets. I'm decluttering everything. I'm currently moving all of the candles that I am keeping and putting them in this cabinet over here. Now, I did reduce them probably by half. So there's still so much more room in this cabinet because there's hardly anything in there. I did just declutter this cabinet, I want to say like a month, possibly two ago, and it really just has like some odds and ends, like a couple of electronics, some remotes, our internet boxes in there because we don't really have a place for that. So it's in there also. But other than that, there's really not much in there. As you can see, a lot of this stuff is art supplies. There was also games that were underneath. We had them stacked up, but we don't really play them as often. So the ones that we don't really play with as often, we're moving downstairs with the rest of our games. This is a little clay pencil holder that my husband made. I don't even know what grade what year. I'm gonna have to look at the bottom of it to see if it actually has the year. I don't think it does. But he was little, and we've had that ever since we've moved in together when I was 18. And he always tells me, "You don't have to keep that. You don't have to keep it." But it is it's like one of the things from his childhood that I refuse to let go of. I don't know why, but I have like sentimental value in his little pencil holder that he made in probably third grade. So that's what that was. And I just went ahead and I put my pens in it, and I'm using it still. But it had a bunch of candles. These are plastic votive candles that I got for Halloween to put in the pumpkins. There's just so many odds and ends. Just there was a ton of batteries that aren't even good anymore. So, and I mean like more than one or two. There was like 10 batteries that aren't, I don't know why we had them. So just random things. This little tractor plant holder, this was from my son's funeral. And so I was going to keep it for like a pencil holder or something like that, but it's too big and it wouldn't really fit in the area. So I put it with our storage and decoration stuff downstairs in our storage room for now, and a couple odds and ends that I'm just not ready to get rid of, but I'm not really sure what to do with, I put down there too. However, a lot of this stuff I ended up getting rid of. I went through all of the school stuff and determined what we could get rid of and what we could keep. I put stuff into binders, sorted it all, and just made sure that we were only holding on to stuff that we actually use and need. I know I've mentioned a handful of times how my older two are doing a online curriculum for their homeschool this year. It was the first year that we were doing that, and although it was going really well, it just wasn't working out the best for us. So we have been making that switch for at least the last month, possibly two, and bringing them back to just what we're used to. So that's what we're doing. And that's why we have so many papers and binders now, because this is actually like mostly all their stuff. Some of it is like some artwork from my boys, but they are doing their book and workbooks and stuff like that and getting back into the swing of things with offline school, and there's just so much stuff that goes along with that. So finding a home for all those things was pretty much what fueled this whole declutter and organization, honestly, because I just needed a space for all of their stuff to go. I'm also at the point where it kind of just drives me crazy that we have stuff in so many different areas of our house. So that's why I mentioned the whole library upstairs, where I'm trying to bring all of our homeschool stuff and craft stuff in one spot. It just makes me, I don't know, I just feel crazy where it's like in all these different locations and we know where everything is. And it's not that they're terribly disorganized like this was. It's just that I wish it was all in one spot, and we don't have a homeschool room. We do have an office slash guest room upstairs that houses a bit of like our extra like textbook overflow and stuff like that. But as far as other stuff, it's kind of, we do our homeschool right here at the table, at the dining room table. We bring it outside. We're all over the place. We like being really flexible with our homeschooling, but I really hate how all of it is just kind of all over the place now. We have several different bookshelves in different areas, and if you can see, I was like messing with, it's not fishing wire, but it was something from it was something from like this bead box that I think my daughter had or someone had, and it was just all over the place, tangled in everything in this drawer, and everything was in a million pieces. So this drawer was a hot mess. It might have been worse than my husband's like tool drawer that he had next to this, which accumulates like batteries and screws and stuff. But it felt good finally getting all of this done and kind of taking care of creating a home for all of these things.
You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know. Getting hot, feeling low, and it's out of your control. You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you.
Okay, so I just wiped this one out after I cleaned it out, and we are going to sand it down and then repaint it. But I just wanted to share like how bad they repainted it when they redid these. Like, this is usually whenever we're doing projects. Like, yes, this was an art drawer, so you'll see, you know, we have different color variations and scratches and stuff from like lead pencils and pens. But when we are redoing projects, this is usually how we find things, where they painted not very well, but they painted just enough to where like it stops when, you know, you pull the drawer out. So they didn't pull these out, they just quickly painted one really thin coat, and it's just, I don't know, we find that every time we go to redo something, these weren't the original owners, but the owners right before us, they are known to like flip houses in the area. And so if you've owned a house from a flipper, you kind of probably have a pretty good idea that a lot of times they take the quicker or easier way. At least in our case, that is what we found. So a lot of things are unfinished, a lot of things are not finished well, and it was just, a quick thing to get pictures. And so now we kind of, every time we do a project, we find stuff like this, and this is not that big of a deal to repaint. We're already painting, it is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. But it seems like every project, even big projects, we end up having to accommodate for their issues where they, didn't do things properly. So we always have to kind of do things the right way and do things properly so they kind of last and they look better and all that. So it's unfortunate. It makes projects go a little slower, but something we've kind of had to be used to. So through this whole process, I have noticed that I am like a hoarder, but a hoarder of a different kind. I feel like I'm a hoarder of like holders. Is that a thing? Like these little compartments. So I have so many different baskets. I have so many different containers and jars and just knick-knacky items that like hold things, if that makes any sense. So, and I don't know if that like is TLC gonna come after me for being a hoarder of that, because I'm always preaching to my family like, don't hoard things, you need to declutter, go through things. And then here I am hoarding all of these like different organizers and holders, and it's just, I don't know, I was like cracking myself up because here's like a jelly jar, and oh my gosh, my 5-year-old Theo, he like lost it when he was like, oh, you kept a jelly jar. It's like, of course I did. And then here's a pickle jar that I kept for all of your paintbrushes. And then I of course kept the coffee grounds container, and I'm going to put all of our popsicle sticks, that's what they're called, in there. And I've saved, it's embarrassing, but I'm gonna let you know because you're all my friends and we're not judging here, but I have saved this coffee tin for over a year because Walmart moved the coffee that I buy to like a different container. And so I kept this coffee grounds container because I'm like, you know what, someday I'm going to use it for some type of arts and crafts. It's great for holding stuff like that. And it has been empty for at least a year. However, now I have a use for it. It holds all of our popsicle sticks. So for the time being, it's working out for me. But these little box cardboard organizers, I guess, they were from my boys' huge box of arts and crafts that they had in their room. So we got rid of the box and we took all the arts and crafts that were left behind, and I organized them all into these little organizers that were left, and we put them in drawers. They fit perfectly, and I don't know, I'm hoping they hold up. They're only cardboard, so we might eventually have to make a switch, but for now they worked out perfectly. So yeah, sometimes my family kind of gives me a hard time about the amount of baskets and jars and organizers and all kinds of little things that I keep, which I guess now that I'm looking at it, the pencil holder that my husband made, I understand why I have hoarded it all these years, because I'm a hoarder of that kind, apparently. But really, is that such a bad thing to be a hoarder of? I mean, it's not like it's really impacting my life for the worse. So, whatever. They give me a hard time, but right now it is working in my favor because now I have all these little organizers and little things that I can put stuff in, and everything has a home. So it worked out. Cat was in the window right here. I didn't show Cat, but she was watching the birds fly into the bird feeder. They are loving this new mix that I put in the bird feeder. And I don't know what it is. I love watching the birds. So I'm wanting to get one of those ones that like suction cup onto the window. If you have any experience with that, let me know. I'm hoping it will work out well because our cat and all of us really like watching the birds. So I'm going to add one of those, I think, this spring to our front window where we have so much bird activity. While I have been making candles and organizing all of the things from this cabinet, Kyle has been busy painting and sanding and getting everything put together for the whole area. I will have to double check what this color paint was called. We have a problem. We love green. So everything seems to be green and it is really, really light on the first coat. And I feel like it even looked really light on the second coat. We ended up going lighter than we originally wanted because this area is kind of not really well lit. So it's a darker area, and we knew that if we went too dark, it would look black or a really dark brown. So we went a little lighter on the green. We didn't use the same one we usually use, and it looks lighter here, but in the back, it is exactly the color we were going for, this like really dark olivey color. And I just feel like it really tied in that area really beautifully. Another project I'm wanting to do pretty soon here is our laundry closet. And I was thinking of doing this same green in the laundry closet because it is right in that area. It's a darker area and there's not a lot to it. So I was thinking of also doing the same green in this area too. So if you're looking for a low budget small laundry room makeover, I should have one of those available within the next month because that is one thing that I'm wanting to get to pretty soon here now. For this entire area, he did make sure that he sanded everything and then he wiped it all down before putting on, I believe he did 2 coats. He might have actually done 3. I'll have to double check because I was kind of doing other things while he was painting. This is the hardware that we're going to be using for all of them. We redid a dresser slash I don't shelf area for our dining room. I'm sure you've seen it in a million of my videos, but I actually had done that before I started a YouTube channel, so that actually was a really good tutorial. I wish I had recorded. I wish I'd known that I was going to be on YouTube because I would have recorded that for you, but anyway, those are the leftover knobs from that project. And I didn't, for some reason, think of that. I knew I was going to be using these knobs on these cabinets, but I didn't, for some reason, think to check how many I had. So I am too short and I'm going to need to order more, but they just look so beautifully with the green color. They go so nice together. So I knew I wanted to use those, and I will also have to order hinges because that is yet another thing that slips my mind. However, I don't know if I would really know how to order them. They seem like they're different kind of hinges, and I would be afraid that I would actually order the wrong ones. So usually when we have anything to do with hinges, I leave that up to Kyle because he knows a lot more about that than I do. I still need to put everything back into the area, but it is all dry and mostly done. So we haven't completely painted. However, these were from a different project that we had, so they were just the leftovers and I don't have enough. So we only had enough for 4. So we need these 2 drawers down, or doors down here. We put them up on the top in these drawers for now because we don't really access these a lot. They have like tools, flashlights, and like Play-Doh, just stuff that we don't get to nearly as often as these ones, which are used almost every day. So we are going to order more from those, and I just got those like a year ago on Amazon, so I'll just go back in and order more. And then another thing, something that I usually forget is hinges. I never remember to get hinges, and honestly I never really know, I wouldn't even know how to order them, I don't think either, because they kind of fit in differently. So they were painted white. The previous owners, they had painted over the hinges, and oh, they're actually, we didn't paint them over here, so they matched the cabinets before, and were painted over white in the screws and everything. So they actually gave my husband some trouble, and he had a hard time doing that. So we are just going to order more hinges. I'm gonna let him order those since he knows how to do that. And so we need 2 more knobs and then the hinges for the doors. Other than that, I think that's all we need to do. Oh, and then, you know, the lights and all that little add-on stuff. And then if you're wondering if you saw these, so when we moved in, I don't think this door was here. I don't think any of them were. I think all the closets, I think the only closet door that was actually on was our master bedroom closet. Other than that, like all these, they were off the hinges and in the basement, and we had to kind of go around and see what doors went to what closet. They had like curtains hung on all of them, kind of odd, but so they don't match, even though they do go here, because they started doing the doors like these. I think they all originally looked like this dark color, and then like the first owner, I think, did the dark, and then the second owner started sanding it and doing more of this look, which I do like. I like this a lot. So I think what we're eventually, whenever we get to it, going to do these doors also like this, and then probably switch out the hardware. When we first moved in, we originally bought sliding barn doors for here. However, they did not fit. It didn't, I don't remember exactly what was wrong, but there was some issue as far as like the sliding of the door and stuff. So we ended up scrapping that idea, and that is actually downstairs in my son's room. That is his bedroom door. So anyway, if you were wondering, that's why they're like all different colors. But eventually, when we get to it, it's kind of, you know, on the bottom of the list. But whenever we get to it, we're wanting to do that to a lot of the doors. I actually want to do that to my bedroom doors too. Some of the doors are like that, and you can actually see that they started doing that to our bedroom door. I'm not really sure why they stopped, but yeah, they started, and so I think we're going to continue it when we do that. So did that to these doors, my son's doors. So they did do them for those. And then this one too. So I like how it looks. I think we're gonna continue to carry it throughout, but they didn't get to all the doors. And it's odd too, is it this one? I'm trying to think, one of the doors was actually painted. Oh yeah, it has blue. So like some of the doors were painted like different colors. When we moved in, a lot of the doors downstairs were all like, it was like all primary colors. There was a red, I think there was a yellow, and there was a blue. Possibly there was even a green. I don't remember, but we painted them all the same color. And I'm curious if that's how these were too, and that's why they sanded them all down, because I think, I don't know if I see it really here. Oh yeah, there's some blue. in here. So it's kind of interesting that I think that they might have carried the primary colored doors throughout the house. And then the last owner, you know, decided that didn't look so great, which I kind of agree with that. Okay, so now that we have this all painted, the paint is dry, and the knobs that we have that are on, I'm going to go ahead and wipe it down. There's some dust and stuff from him drilling the holes and stuff like that. So I'm going to wipe it down and then going to put everything that we organized from school, the tools, I ended up getting rid of quite a bit of stuff, but I organized the stuff that we'll be keeping, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that into the drawers indoors now.
You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you. I'm never letting you go. You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know. But I will guide you home. Fight your battles, always by yourself. In the shadows, hear you cry for help. No matter the distance, I will always be there. No more inhibitions, I'll show you I care. You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know. Getting hot, feeling low, and it's out of your control. You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you. I'm never letting you go. You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know. But I will guide you home.
My best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone.
Okay, I think we have things in here for the most part, so I was just gonna walk you through this. Also, I forgot to mention, I put this here like when we first moved in. It's covering an outlet or a switch. It's capped off and everything, but yeah, that's why that's there. I'm going to put the cat bed back here because, like I said, she likes to get away from the other cat. But I put all of our homeschool stuff here. Aside from the boys' like actual big lesson books, because I have those on a bookshelf for them. So that's not here, but everything else is. So I have like our planner for the day, the kids' books, and just kind of some random stuff that we use every day. I'll start up here since it's already lit up. My son's stuff is here. He is currently making the switch over from an online curriculum back to the book curriculum that we were using before. So I'm kind of it's a little bit of an odd time, but it wasn't working out. So we just decided to call it quits and go back to what we know. So his stuff will be in here. And then also we're adding things up here. And then extra like notebooks, extra pens and pencils, popsicle sticks, and just like extra crafts. Those are all up there, really stuff that we don't need to reach very often. And then the paint and stuff is all right here. 3-hole punch. So I did it, you know, stuff that we use every day, stuff that we use sometimes, and then stuff that we only really need if we run out of other stuff. So that, we use like these watercolors. If you have little kids, this is so great to have. My boys love having these watercolors. They were $5 at Five Below, and it is every color you can think of, and they last forever. So this was a really great investment. We have not really used these as much, the pastels, oil pastels and chalk. But my son is in a drawing class, my oldest, so for school, and I'm collecting things as we go because he'll need quite a bit of things. But anyway, so I have those here. The boys' crayons. I have paintbrushes, couldn't think of it. Stapler, because my kids aren't allowed to touch the stapler. They jam it every time, and so over the years, I'm going to turn this light off because I feel like it's just a nuisance. Over the years, they've just proven that they can't use it without jamming it, so I'm just keeping it up here. That's why it's out of their reach. Markers and stuff, all this stuff I can get down if they need. It's just kind of, you know, that's where it went. So all their markers are in here. And then the pens, my pens that I use are all in there. The boys, if I leave them out, they will steal them and then we won't have any pens. So I'm kind of keeping that out of their reach as well. So that's all that's in there. And then this drawer is now pretty empty. If you can remember, before it was completely filled to where like we couldn't even put things in, with tools and just it was a junk drawer. So anything you can think of. So we have the bare minimum in here. I'm assuming we're going to add some stuff, but right now we don't have anything in here. We have our battery organizer, and because I never have that many batteries. So, we will put chapstick, you know, if anybody needs chapstick, lighter. We do have these like little batteries for Ted's collar, but we got that. And, apparently this was a really good like air thing for a ball, so we're keeping that here, I guess. This drawer was our junk drawer kind of for all of our arts and crafts, and it was really heavily cluttered. So now it is decluttered, but I have, you know, all of the kids' scissors, their rulers, tape, all that kind of stuff that they get into on the regular, and, you know, stuff for school. So I got that down here. If you can hear hammering, my husband's upstairs working on, we have like these old doorknobs. I'm trying to see if we have one right here that, upstairs they're stripped, so he's trying to fix that. Anyway, so I have this box. I think I showed it earlier. It is filled with just random cords because everything that you can get now has random cords. So yeah, there's a commotion going upstairs. So I just put them all in this box, and if something needs a cord, we pull out the box and look for it. This is just kind of crafts and overflow of things. Our permanent markers, dry erase, we use those on a daily basis. Staplers, just bug bracelets. It's the overflow of things down here. And I kept these, if you're wondering where I got them. The boys had a craft kit that has become out of control. So they absolutely love it, but it's become out of control. So I've condensed everything in here now, and I kept the little things that it came with, and I'm reusing those. So that's where all that's from. Again, this is like the overflow of the tools. So the things that my husband wants to quickly reach for, they're all up here. And then down here, we have like dry erase boards over here, mats. We use those on a daily basis for like spelling and stuff. So keeping those down here for the boys to be able to get. We got our flashlight. These are all really cool, like mystery games. These ones are a little bit more advanced for my older kids, and then the other ones are for my younger kids, but they're different locations. So, and it's kind of like a little mystery game. They have a lot of fun with that. So we got those to do for school, and our flashlight, and then all the rest of this is just stuff, Theo's Play-Doh stuff. So he's got all the little kits in here, all the little Play-Doh pieces. They come with like a little Play-Doh mat, which is nice. And then he has more. So that is all that we got. So here is the finished, or at least finished for now, product.
But anyway, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on another Motivational Monday. I hope this gave you the motivation to get some decluttering done around your house. If not, thank you for hanging out while I got through another space of mine. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.